battle between the bulls and bears continues to rage on. Let's take a closer look. Last week we saw a reversal of the trend of the previous week. So 2 weeks before we had a nice positive rebound, but last week things took a turn for the worse. So let's take a closer look at the market development in the previous week. We see that on Monday and Tuesday we had negative days, especially Tuesday was a bit more negative, and then the market basically started to recover a little bit. Still, for the whole week the performance was negative of minus 6.9%, and for the total month of July it stands at minus 1.8%, so it's basically flat. This war between bulls and bears continues to rage on for the last month actually, and as we speak now we have a strong positive rebound in the crypto prices, but this is a topic for the next weekly digest already. So maybe someone could be scared by the Tuesday negative price movement, but if you remember crypto market movements from the previous months, this was a normal daily development. Plus minus 5-10% was in one day was actually a normal movement, but lately we had a more subdued movements, and now the volatility is coming back, and this usually means that the prices will steer in one direction more decisively. As I said, today's market price movements hints that this could be on the positive, but it is still too early to tell. So let's take a closer look now at the developments in the prices of Bitcoin and Ether. And the performance of Bitcoin for the last week was minus 5.6%, and month to date, so month of July, essentially flat at minus 0.7%. Ether performed similarly, so 1 week performance minus 5.7%, and month to date minus 1.3%. So they're both basically flat for the month. And what about the top gainers and losers? So in the top 25 digital assets, we can see the top weekly gainers. In the first place, 0x with plus 16.6%. Second is Stellar with 4.5% gain, and the third is Zcash with 1.4% gain. All three digital assets actually gained because of the Coinbase announcement, which came out on Tuesday last week, and they said that they're exploring adding 5 new digital assets to their platform for trading, and these three were all the mentioned assets, so that's why they appreciated quite substantially. The losers last week, we can see WeChain with minus 27%, then it's EOS and NEO both with minus 13%. So WeChain actually switched to their own mainnet, but the problem was they didn't really announce it properly, and a lot of community members didn't really know how they should approach this topic, and this had quite a negative effect on the price last week. And EOS, we know they're let's say regular problems now, so it's really not that decentralized as it's supposed to be, and investors are not too fond on this. And NEO is, we believe, at the end of its decline, and we think that it could be one of the better performance in the next weeks. Now let's take a look at the most important news last week in the crypto. So Bloomberg announced or reported last week that several crypto investors, most notably Binance, are forming the first regulated decentralized bank. So Binance took a 5% stake, but the thing is, this bank will be owned by the token holders. So of course they need to obtain an approval from the regulator, and they selected Malta to be the jurisdiction of choice, and this is again another huge step for Malta, who's really proving itself to be a blockchain destination. So one more important step to offer proper bank services for the crypto community, and Binance is really pushing it on many fronts to bring crypto into the mass adoption. The next thing, Financial Times had an interesting piece about hackers. So they switched. Actually, they're still attacking exchanges, and we can see actually each week that some exchanges have been hacked, but actually the focus is slowly changing to the investors and trying to hack their wallets, usually with phishing attacks, because as crypto is becoming more and more mainstream, more and more let's say, less technical investors are joining the party, so they're more prone to being hacked. And there are different reports, but it is believed that between 500 and 700 million US dollars was stolen directly from investors last year, and these kind of hacks are only being increased in time. So a word of caution, especially for the newer participants in the crypto market: take really good care of your assets, and yeah, use cold storage wallets, and be very, very, let's say, careful when you're typing addresses or clicking on links. And the last news, which is, I believe, really important, London School of Economics introduces online crypto course, and London School of Economics is one of the most renowned business schools in the world. So it also shows another step towards the mass adoption of the cryptocurrencies. And this will be all for this weekly Crypto Digest with the top 3 news last week. Follow our Twitter account, where you can see up-to-date information from our site. Usually we post several times a day, so our Twitter channel account is a really good source of up-to-date news. Thanks, and see you next week.